there's a lot of trust that your customers put when they are buying something from you, and you are responsible to protect that data.
I mean, everybody's familiar with this little company called Facebook, right? Or Meta now. What is the business of Meta? It's a company that is essentially relying on data.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Hi Asanka, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Wonderful to be here.
First of all, we would like to start off by asking you who you are and what you do.
Well, I'm Asanka De Mel. I run a company called LOVI, which is a fashion company over here, reimagining and reinventing Sri Lankan attire for the contemporary or modern style.
Right.
Before that, I used to work about 20 years in Silicon Valley in the US in technology. And to round it off, I have a public policy degree from Kennedy School and that's what kind of brought all these things together for me to come to Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
And most recently, I wrote a book called 2048, which discusses, among other things, the growth of Sri Lanka, as a very rapid growth of Sri Lanka as an economic entity, and then how digital and digitalization could be a component of that growth.
Nice. So, is it fair to say that you're a tech guy in a sarong?
I'm definitely a tech guy in a sarong.
All right. So, that's a very little known fact about you, that you're a tech guy.
Yeah.
How did you get into this, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I mean, I went to Peters over here. I was in maths, and I went to university, Katubad, and then university in US in computer science. And it was in late 90s when I graduated, and I was in the wave of both the tech.com boom and as well as digitalization of a lot of things, ADSL, high-speed internet, the tech revolution from 2000. I graduated in 1999.
Right.
So from 1999 to 2000, I was 15, 2016, I was in the US in tech.
Right.
So it was a pretty hefty, good period to see.
Understood. So you've been in the tech industry for some time now.
Yes, in various areas of enterprise, consumer, on both sides of the equation.
Absolutely. I mean, you have a very interesting perspective. So you can kind of look at this problem from different angles. So as a business owner, I'm sure you're dealing with a lot of data.
Yeah.
Could you tell the audience here a little bit about the data that you handle on a day-to-day basis and how important this data is for you?
For our fashion company, the most of the data is essentially transaction data, right? So people buy online, people buy through our shops. Their credit card information is the most valuable piece that we need to secure and make sure that happens that way. Fortunately, we are working with trusted gateways to make sure that transactional information is protected. The second type of information is essentially behavioral information. What did they look at on the website? What did they search? That type of behavioral information, and personal information like name, phone number, previous purchasing data, measurements, all of that type of stuff. That is largely secured within our servers.
Right.
We use a platform called Shopify that has very strong data protections, and one of the reasons that we are using Shopify or similar platforms is it's nearly impossible for us to individually secure any of this stuff.
Right. So from what I understand is that there's a lot of trust that your customers put when they are buying something from you, and you are responsible to protect that data.
Yeah, e-commerce data. Like anytime you're transacting on the web, when you're putting your credit card information, there's a trust that that information is handled, and largely the banks and the processing partners have done a great job establishing that trust. And that's why today we see a lot more uptake on e-commerce compared to even 5 or 10 years ago.
Right. Now, even though the security part is handled by Shopify or even banks or payment gateways, etc., a customer would buy something from you because they trust LOVI sarongs, right? In a situation where this trust is lost, what would the impact be for a company like yours?
Well, first of all, embarrassment in a big way, but also potential liability if how that information is used by whoever takes that information, right? So we see like many times, especially the banks are announcing all these hacks into their information systems. Total chaos.
Chaos would be a complete worst case scenario for your company.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately we have architected our behavior so that we keep very little information. The best way I have seen is to reduce the amount of personal information that we keep, just so that this becomes less of a vulnerability for us.
Right. So when you talked about personal data in LOVI Sarongs, what kind of personal data do you consume from the customers, partners, etc.?
Largely behavioral, right? Like, so we know a certain client likes a certain style and their measurements, or what their purchasing habits are, what their family generally wears. That type of things is very important for us so that we can serve them better. So when they come or when they call, we know already what they generally want to buy. All of these are very important to provide a high level of service.
Absolutely. So this becomes a part of convenience. Also, I feel like it becomes a competitive advantage.
It is a competitive advantage. Our business is, we are in the upmarket segment. So personalization and exceptional service is part of the offering.
Right. Now, I'm sure you're aware there's a new law that was passed called the PDPA, Personal Data Protection Act, which gives an importance to personal data and how companies are handling personal data. How are you getting ready for this act as a company?
I think our reliance on that is to find partners who can help. Our fundamental business is not this. So our fundamental business is fashion company, right? So we are focused on the creativity, right. The tech stuff. We definitely need partners who can guide us and to make sure that we are in track.
Understood. So what you are essentially saying is you want to focus on your core business,
yes,
which is fashion. You don't want to worry about data privacy and all of these things that are happening.
We will not be able to build a tech team to go do these things. So we want a tech provider coming, maybe like Xapi or somebody else coming and say, look, this is how you transition that. And we will rely on the platforms that we use, like the web platform or the e-commerce platform or even the accounting or our databases to provide that as a layer or add-on how we maintain data.
As a technologist and a business owner, right?
I see a trick question coming.
No, this is a very simple question, right? What advice would you give Sri Lankan companies who have to get ready with the PDPA?
I think it's a serious part of your business and building your reputation and trust with your clients. So I would say pay attention. I think if it is like that, if the government gazettes a new tax that we have to pay or a new regulatory mechanism, that certificate that we need to develop or provide to conduct business, this is one of those things. So get one of your departments or either your finance or security or HR or IT to look into this and provide a solution to it.
Cool. I want to talk a little bit about this book that you have written, A Speech to Sri Lanka from 2048.
Yeah.
What is this book?
This book is essentially a vision and a plan on how to get Sri Lanka to be a developed country. To be more specifically, how do we go from roughly 4,000 per capita GDP to 40,000 USD in per capita GDP? Meaning, how do you get your current income 10 times larger, right? And what would be that Sri Lanka look like? What kind of businesses we might have? What kind of areas that, what is the texture of that Sri Lanka look like, and how do you get there by 2048? What is the minimum set of things we need to do to get to that Sri Lanka?
Right. So this is not just a vision that you have put out, but it also includes a plan.
It is a plan. It is a step-by-step plan on how do we get there with names and dates and things we need to do.
Right.
But it's written in kind of a narrative form, like so you can read it like a story instead of reading like an Excel file.
Right.
Nobody writes to read Excel files. Maybe there are some. Most of us like to read a story instead of an Excel file.
Absolutely. And in this vision, I'm sure you've outlined a lot of things, the social aspect, infrastructure, financial aspect, all of that. What does the tech future in 2048 look like for Sri Lanka?
Well, look at this way. We are next to India. One key business area that, since we are talking about data governance, one key area is that we can be the disaster recovery hub for many, or a second disaster recovery hub for many Indian businesses or around the world. For China, we could be the data processing or the back office, especially with our English-speaking audience, and for them to be working in the ASEAN region. So for these things to happen, I think the ability for the data, not only the privacy of the data for Sri Lankans, but the ability of the data to cross borders. Indian companies are able to actually send their customer information to a data center in Sri Lanka and have it be legal, have it be protected, have it be processed to provide customer services or any other services, and be able to transfer that back. This conduit needs to be created, and these are large businesses that we can create based on that. I mean, everybody's familiar with this little company called Facebook, right? Or Meta now. What is the business of Meta? It's a company that is essentially relying on data.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
It's a data business. They're selling data to advertisers. They're selling entertainment to us. So essentially, it's a data business. Just want to take a guess of the last year's revenue for Meta?
Probably in the billions of, hundreds of billions, I would say.
Last year it was $200 billion in revenue, and this year it's projected to be about $230 billion in revenue. To put it in perspective, the entire Sri Lankan GDP last year was about $80 billion. So if Facebook was actually listed and operated out of Sri Lanka, Sri Lankan GDP would be 4 times.
These companies are larger than some of the nations, including our nation.
Much larger. What I'm trying to point out is data is not only about privacy, or it is the gold, or it is the oil of the future of businesses. AI is run on data. If you are looking at a future, any kind of business that you are creating out of AI or using AI, it runs on data. So being able to have access, create data in a protected and a very transparent manner with partners that we can trade is very important. That framework is very important.
Absolutely. Now, I think we are touching again on the trust factor, right?
Yeah, not only trust, actually. It's not, I would go beyond trust. The reason we have these kind of systems, or say these regulations or frameworks, is because you essentially don't want trust. You want a system that replaces trust with transparency, accountability, and being able to examine and verify. And it replaces the need for individual trust. So that is what we are trying to create, and I think it's very important that we push on that path. The reason I bought the Facebook idea is that many times you don't see how big the data business itself is. And Facebook, although it's one of the largest business, it's not the only business on data.
Right.
If you look at companies, almost all the companies, Google, LinkedIn, you name everybody, they are all in, and at this point, OpenAI or any one of the AI companies, they are all in the business of data.
Absolutely.
So it is probably some $1 trillion business right now.
Right. So you have a detailed data strategy for the country, right? Now coming back to 2026, for this vision of yours for 2048, what needs to happen in your opinion in the country?
I think one of the bigger things needs to happen is that we want to be a developed country. We've been telling ourselves that we are a developing country, but what is the goal? We are at roughly 4,000 USD per person. Is 5,000 enough? Is 3,000 enough? The cutoff to be a developed country is 40,000. Almost all developed countries, or what we call first world countries, are at 40,000 or above.
Right.
So is that our goal? And I argue that should be our goal. Why are we fighting for second place when we can be? And there is no intrinsic barrier stopping us to get there, except our own lack of vision or wanting to be there. And even to add to that more, you might ask, why would you want that? Because I'm already pretty comfortable, I'm having a good lifestyle, all of that. But the point is, you are probably in the top 1% in the country. There's 90% of the population living quite poorly and miserably.
And you're living in your own bubble with...
Maybe, but and I am grateful for that. It's good that we at least have a few like live in that. I'm saying that let's make it a lot more can enjoy that life, and most likely that will push your lifestyle 10 times even higher, right? Because generally speaking, when countries develop, largely we've seen inequality grow for a little bit. The rich gets richer at least for a period of time, because they have the ability to, and there's, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing or a good thing, it's just how it has generally happened, because they have means of production or running businesses, or the know-how and the awareness. So they are able to capture a large part of that growth, but the bottom also lifts up. And then eventually over time, if the governments regulate properly through taxes and other policy mechanisms, then you can probably have more equality created within the distribution of the incomes. But no point of talking about inequality when all of us are poor, or the vast majority of us are poor.
Understood. Do you want to tell people where you can get this book
and
how this can be purchased?
This is called 2048. You can buy it at bookstores, at Barefoot, Sarasavi, and at LOVI shops. Also on Sri Lanka 2048.org is the website. You can order there and buy. And if you're overseas, you can buy on Amazon.
Thank you so much, Asanka.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
Thank you.